webinar series. If you could just let me know that you can hear me loud and clear, that you can see the slide deck on the screen, and use the chat box to let me know that everything is working okay, and then we'll get started in a couple of minutes' time. Great. Awesome. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Drew. So typically, apologies for the couple of minutes lateness, but I just want to hang around for a little bit because usually we have significantly more people that are on the webinar at this time. So that's why I'm just starting a few minutes late. I'm just going to hang around, check with the team, make sure there were no issues with invites being sent out or anything like that. So if you are all okay to just hang with me for a couple more minutes before we get started, I won't hang around for too long, but just a few more minutes, just to make sure some people can come and join. Maybe there were some issues when they were trying to log into the webinar, so I'm not too sure. But I just want to check with the Promo Republic team really quick, and then we will kickstart things in, let's say, like 2 minutes time if we don't hear from anyone. In the meantime, for the few of you that are here, so I can see Robert, Drew, there's a few other people in the attendees or like participants list as well. It'd be really cool to hear from you whether or not you've been on one of these webinars before, and whether or not you're currently a Promo Republic customer. That would be really interesting. Okay, great. So Drew is a customer, has been here before. I think that means Robert, customer, Antoinette, customer. Okay, cool. So as I said, we're just going to give it another minute or two, as I'm a bit unsure as to where everybody else is. I can see there's a few more people joining, which is great. So we'll just hang on for a couple more minutes before we get started. But today we're going to be talking about kind of balancing or keeping that balance between winning new business and managing your current clients, like trying to keep your current clients happy. So we'll cover a few different things in today's webinar, which I'll talk about in a second, but I just want to give it 1 or 2 more minutes. If nobody else joins in the next couple of minutes, then we'll just kickstart anyway, as I don't want to waste any of your time. So another minute or two just to see if anyone else joins, and then if not, we will just kick things off. Okay, everyone. So I think we are going to just kick things off because it looks like nobody else is joining. So let's just continue with today's webinar like normal. Let me know if you're ready to get started. I'll try and keep this as interactive and engaging as possible. It's a really small group of people today, so please, if you are watching, make sure you make use of the chat box down below. Any questions you have throughout, make sure you ask them to me, and we'll try and keep this as interactive and as engaging as possible. Because there's fewer people, maybe we can spend a bit more time doing some like interactive Q&A or something like that. we will see. So this is what we're going to be covering today. As I said, today's webinar title, we're just focusing on how to find that balance between like going after new business, winning new business, and managing your current clients and keeping them happy. So this is the three kind of core sections of today's session. So we'll talk about some strategies for client retention. We'll talk about some ideas to help you saving time with client collaboration, and then at the end, stop and just do some Q&A time too for anybody that has any questions. So I know most of you said you have been on these webinars before. Is there anybody that hasn't been on one of these Promo Republic Agency and Freelancer Academy webinars before? Please let me know if you haven't, because the next section here is just a quick introduction. But if all of you have been here before, then I don't need to go super in depth on kind of who I am and what this webinar series is all covering. Okay, we have Antoinette who's here for the first time, so I will cover this. So Antoinette, my name is, and I am also, like you, I would imagine, I am also an agency owner. So I've been managing my own paid ads like agency. We focus on managing Google Ads and Facebook campaigns for software businesses. I've been running my agency business for just over a year now. It was like a year, a couple of days ago, actually. And I am supporting the team at Promo Republic with the Agency and Freelancer Academy that they have. So in the back end of last year, Promo Republic released a new version of their software focused specifically towards providing additional support for agency owners and for freelancers. And at that time, they really wanted to focus on becoming the #1 like resource online to help other agency owners and freelancers grow their businesses. And I've been a friend of the team's for a while. I also have a number of my own like training programs, my own Facebook group, a big, or fairly well-sized personal brand, etc. And I do a lot of webinars and education like this. So the team asked me if I would be happy to support them. So that's exactly what I do. I lead these webinars every 2 weeks. And I also am involved sometimes with an online summit that we put together, and lots of other content that Promo Republic work on specifically for agency owners and freelancers to help them grow out their businesses. So that's a little bit about me. Before setting up an agency, I worked at some fairly well-known companies such as Hootsuite, the other social media management platform. I used to have a podcast called The Social Media Growth Show, which ranked pretty highly in iTunes. And yeah, that's enough about me, because this webinar series isn't about me. It's about helping provide additional value to agency owners and freelancers. That's what we're here for. We've done over 25 of these webinars now, so they've been running for a while. We have a new online summit coming again in towards the end of June, so that's a sneak peek for that one. We're going to be releasing more information about that very soon. The first kind of summit that we did in January, we had, I think it was 16 different people from leading agencies and businesses around the world. We split it over 2 days, and we talked about like providing better services for your clients was one day, and the other day was kind of lead generation and growing your agency business as well, with lots of different experts. So lots of value-driven content that we put together, and that's what this webinar series is part of. We will also cover, in brief, a little bit about the Promo Republic agency specific solution and offering. I'm not going to do like a full-scale demo or anything like that, but we will cover a couple parts about the agency solution and how it can potentially help you grow your businesses. So that's just a quick introduction to me, what I'm all about, what this webinar series is all about. If you do have time, we also have a Facebook group, which is called the Agency and Freelancer Academy. We have a community of nearly 500 people in there now. And if you go on the Promo Republic website, you'll see there's like a new and improved blog, and on the blog there's a great section for agency owners and freelancers too. So lots of other content that you can engage with and keep an eye on. So let's get into today's webinar. We're going to be talking about strategies for client retention, and this is really important to talk about. I thought I'd also bring in a couple of like statistics that I discovered whilst I was prepping for this webinar deck. So one of those was, according to Bain, they have said that just something as simple as a 5% increase in customer retention can actually increase a company's profitability by up to 75%. And there was also a Gartner statistic that I found that said 80% of your company's future revenue will come from just 20% of your existing customers. So just these two stats alone show the importance of client retention. Now, my agency has been going for a year now, and to be honest, I really only see it like we've been running since January, because we made some really big changes in around January time and relaunched some of our offerings and really niche down on our service offering. So I see that we've been running since January really, and one thing that I'm starting to notice is the importance of client retention. I have a big job on my hands at kind of improving our client retention. It's something where I'm not going to say it's an issue just yet, but I can see it potentially becoming an issue. So client retention is something that is really, really important and something that I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on now too. And we're going to cover some of the strategies today that I've discovered and that I've also seen in other places online that we can all try and implement in our agencies to make sure that our client retention is better than it is currently. So on last week's webinar, if any of you were here, how many of you how many of you caught last week's webinar? Were any of you on the webinar last week? Be good to see you. Just use the chat box and let me know if you were there. I can see we also have a few people that have joined the webinar now since the beginning, so welcome. If you have just joined us, make sure you come and say hello in the chat box if you weren't here at the beginning. It'd be great to meet you. Great to see who else is here, because I can see the nice attendee list, but it'd be really good to see some of you. Okay, so Robert wasn't here, Drew wasn't here last week either. So I would recommend checking out last week's webinar if you get time and if you want to focus on lead generation. I think it should be available on the Promo Republic YouTube channel. But last week we were talking all about lead generation and specifically like 5 key lead generation tips and tricks to help you grow your business. And once you've spent all of that valuable time and money and energy trying to generate new clients for your business, the last thing that you want to do is lose them, right? And retention can definitely be tricky and challenging for any agency business. I think it takes just as much effort to not only keep your clients, but to keep them happy and keep them in it for the long haul. And after all of this, like the most beneficial client relationships are always the ones that have the highest lifetime value for them and for you. So retention is really important. So I want to make sure that we get some actionable tips surrounding client retention, because that's one thing that is really key on today's webinar. Some actionable things that we can implement, some things I'm going to try and implement in my business as well, that can help us moving forward. So who wants to get into the tips around retention? And I'd also be really keen to know how many of you have thought about client retention before, or maybe struggled with it, or have great results with client retention, and maybe what you're doing. It'd be really good to see in the chat section some of your kind of pointers or thoughts around client retention. Okay, so I can see Drew says it's something that he struggles with. So cool, hopefully some of these tips are going to help. Okay, so Monica says we get great results, but we need to get clients on board. So that seems like the focus needs to be lead generation for you, Veronica. But also one thing I've noticed, and we're going to talk about this later, is getting great results isn't always enough to keep retention high. And we'll talk about that in a second, actually. So interesting to see a lot of people saying they're struggling with retention. No one's actually said they've had a good problem. No one's actually said they've had a good experience with retaining clients, which is interesting. So Drew says I can land them easily, but keeping them for 6 months or more is difficult. Okay, cool. So let's get into some tips and try and help some of you out and help myself out as well. It's something that I'm trying to improve right now. And I just wanted to put this quote on the screen because I thought this was really interesting. The best way to lose a client is to overpromise and underdeliver. And I think it should go without saying that the number one way to retain a client, of course, is to deliver more value than you charge them for, right? But how do you actually quantify your value and how do you communicate that effectively to them can be a different challenge in itself. And I think all of this happens before, during, and after the sales process. So if you use value-based pricing, then your client should already be set with proper expectations for what you're going to deliver. And this is something that I've actually struggled with a couple of times, is kind of not setting expectations effectively from the beginning, the beginning, the middle, and the end of a relationship. And often the hardest part for most of us is that the hardest part comes when your agency needs to actually fulfill on the promises that you made throughout the sales process. So if you sold them the idea that within 6 months you'd increase their number of sales or leads by, let's say, 50%, and then you came up short on that, it's going to be really tough to convince them to stick around with you. You'll end up looking like a big kind of cost center to them and something that's easy to cut from their budget expense. But the same thing goes for saying if you actually, if you come up short, then, or you don't want to, what's the right way to put this? You don't want to set your expectations, set your goals for the client throughout the sales process too small that they're not excited to work with you, right? So you have to find that balance. And if you let's say you absolutely overachieve on what you've told them, then that's great. Of course, they're going to have a better experience and they're going to be more likely to want to stick around and work with you. So of course, one of the big points to keeping clients is focusing on the value that you're providing to them and making sure that you're kind of over delivering. But one point that I wanted to touch on is sometimes delivering good results actually isn't enough. And this is something that I'm experiencing right now with a client where we are like we manage paid ads for our clients. I told you guys that, and we have a client right now where we're 2 months into the contract. We're ROI positive. They're generating a positive return on investment from the money they're spending on our retainer and on the ad spend. But they're still like I feel like we could potentially lose the client after the initial 3 month period unless we sort some things out, because they actually feel as though something is like that they're not we're not delivering or over delivering on the kind of agreement that we made or the promise that we made. They're expecting a little bit more from our service. So sometimes the results isn't the only thing that comes into consideration here. That's something else to bear in mind. So the second point, the second tip is to demonstrate your value through quality reporting. This is something that I have only discovered fairly recently. What you're seeing here actually on the screen, this is a screenshot from an email that we received saying a client of ours is expecting more from the reporting side of things within the business, and you never want to see that from a client. I didn't feel good when I got this message, right? And I don't think you can expect that clients will automatically attribute your work to the good results that they're seeing. You need to prove over and over again why you're worth that monthly return or that monthly investment that they're paying you. And reports can be difficult, it can be a pain, but your client might not even read them in detail, but just receiving a report and knowing that you're making progress and being accountable can make them happy. Now, we're always reporting bi-weekly and monthly to our clients, but our reports, I've realized, like, I thought our reports were okay. I thought they were fine. They covered all of the detail, all of the ROI was shown there, all of the spend per campaign was shown there. But just simply changing it to making it a much more attractive report and a well-branded report rather than a Google Excel file, I think is something that is going to be really, really important to retaining this client and retaining other clients moving forward. Even though to me that's something that shouldn't matter. The only thing that should matter is the ROI. Things like this can make a big difference. So clients enjoy seeing a report in their inbox, maybe at the first of every month, letting them know what you accomplished within their account. And this report should be delivered consistently without the client needing to ask you for it. I'm going to show you some ways that you can do that quickly later on in this webinar today. So a good client report, of course, it depends on the services that you offer, but you should try and have a polished, branded reporting template that you can use that's easy for people on your team to just quickly put results and graphs and charts and stuff into. That's something that I need to work on and that we're kind of working on right now. So I can see that Veronica says a client wants to be involved. I try and have a call meeting or something with them either weekly or bi-weekly, but staying in touch, learn that the hard way. I need to get a report to them as well. Yeah, okay, cool. And then the third kind of tip for me, tying into what Veronica has just said, is to over communicate with your clients even when there's nothing to say. Make sure you stay in touch with them. So communication is the most important way to make clients happy, and that's on the shoulders of either your account manager if you have a bigger agency or yourself. Sometimes we make the mistake of only communicating when there's progress or an update, but I'm learning that that's actually a mistake. We should be trying to communicate with our clients all the time, even if there's nothing to say, making sure that we're communicating with them. So one example here to think about is think of a relationship that you have with a friend or a partner or something like that. You're not going to just talk to them only at times when you have a big revelation or a crazy story to tell them, right? Most of your communication is probably passing comments and little questions that you'll be asking them. And I think clients will get nervous if they don't see anything being done, and they'll assume that if they're not seeing or aware of anything being done, they might assume nothing is being done, even though you're working really hard behind the scenes. So make sure you call them, email them at the beginning or at the end of the week and let them know what the team is working on, what you're aiming to accomplish. And at the end of the week, give them a bit of a recap, let them know what you did, whether you're on schedule, etc., etc. This is something that we're doing. We are send weekly updates now at the end of all of our clients. And as Veronica says, yeah, always try and be as positive as you can. But also, Veronica, I think being completely honest with them is really important. You don't want to be positive if there's nothing to be positive about. You want to raise issues. If you're having problems, if you're not delivering, it's best to just conquer those as quickly as possible and be honest and be real, because I think your clients will appreciate that a lot. That's something that I'm learning right now too, is we have a client at the moment. We just started with them a few weeks ago. We're running some traffic to their website, and for whatever reason, it's just not converting, and it's nothing to do with the ads. Our ad process works for most clients that we work with. There's an issue with the conversion, right? So we've approached the client and said, hey, look, we're having these problems, but this is what we think we can do to help you improve that. So I think also like being positive but being honest and with them is something that's really important too. Yeah, totally, 100%. I agree with you there. Okay, so those are the three kind of tips that I wanted to share around client retention. Now, we also said that we are going to talk a little bit about kind of improving client collaboration and saving time with client collaboration too. And I think the last point around like communication with clients and how important that is, I think that leads us nicely into this topic on like saving time with client collaboration. Now, I have a couple of questions for you. What kind of agencies are you all running? Everyone that's listening here today, like, are you doing social media marketing, social media management for your clients? Are you doing paid ads? Like, what kind of businesses are you working with? Maybe how many clients are you managing? I know that's a lot of questions, but if you could just answer a couple of them, it'd be really great. I know we have Veronica, who's really, really active in the chat. Anybody else, please make sure you come and say hello. Okay, Julie says content marketing, B2B. Drew is doing social media. What's everybody else doing? And like, what kind of size is your agency? How many clients are you working with, roughly? That would be a really interesting point. Okay, so Robert is selling content and owning web pages. Antoinette, social media management for small business owners. Drew is managing around 10 clients doing social media. Okay. Antoinette is doing 5. Okay, great. For those of you that are doing social media management too, how are you like collaborating with your clients? So if you're creating the content plan or the content calendars, are you doing that in like Google Sheets and then sending it to them, or emailing backwards and forwards? Or how are you managing that process? How are you collaborating with your clients when it comes to the content that you're working on? That'd be handy to hear. And thanks everyone else for sharing. So Julie is managing around 1 big client, 20 plus smaller ones. Veronica, e-commerce businesses, Google and Facebook ads, etc. 5 on the team. Okay, cool. Okay, so Julie is like managing that through Zoom and email. Drew uses Plutio. That's like a project management tool, I believe. Okay, cool. Interesting. So the team at Pro Republic did this survey of our like users, everyone that has used the tool in the past, to find out what the biggest challenge was for them in their agency. And actually 78% of agency owners said that the approval process has been the most time consuming and the most problematic for them. So working with clients, getting the right answers, deciding whether or not this kind of post is right, etc., can often be difficult. So these are just some quick tips and tricks that can help you collaborate better with your clients. And then I'm going to quickly show you how the Promo Republic agency solution can help you collaborate too. I'm going to keep this webinar fairly short today because, as I said, there's very few people here. So I think we'll kind of get through this and then we'll stop in the next like 10 minutes and just spend a bit more time doing Q&A if we have it, if we need to do that. So yeah, on here are some tips to improve that client collaboration. One thing that's really key that we've learned recently that we've just implemented a new version of is our onboarding process. So we just rolled that out for the first time to a new client this week, our new onboarding process, and I found that if you onboard someone smoothly, I think it's going to improve a lot of the process throughout. Like if they have a pleasant onboarding experience, working with them and moving forward with them is going to be much, much easier in the future as well. What tips and tricks do you guys have for kind of working on that client collaboration? What have you found maybe one biggest thing you've changed or implemented in your business recently that's been really helpful for client collaboration for you guys? I'd love to hear from you. And whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to set something up really quick on my screen because I'm going to do a screen share in a second. And I want to make sure that it's working correctly. So yeah, the question I'd love to hear is some like a quick client collaboration tip from you if you have one. Okay, so Drew using Dub. I think Dub is a video tool, right, Drew? So like Loom videos. I've been doing that recently too if I have like a long point that I need to get across to a client of ours. Yeah, okay, cool. Antoinette. Oh no, Robert said Q&A for clients. Veronica says Loom is great. Okay, cool. Great. So how many of you that are managing like social media for your, how many of you have heard about or seen the Promo Republic agency specific solution? I know a few of you said you were customers of Promo Republic. I just wanted to find out if any of you are agency customers or if any of you had heard about this before. Because as I said, I'm not going to give you like a full scale demo whatsoever, but I just want to show you a couple of things really quick that I think you'll find interesting, related to what we've talked about already, that can help you improve your client collaboration, help you with things like reporting, etc. And just in general, help your agency scale faster and provide a better service to your clients. Okay, so Robert is an agency customer, so it's great to see you here, Robert, but others haven't heard about it. So I'm going to show you just a real kind of sneak peek or a quick peek inside the agency solution so you can have a clear understanding with it and what it covers and what you can utilize it for. And if at any time, like after I've shown you the solution, I'm going to put a kind of a call to action button on the screen. So you can press that button, and if anyone wants to schedule a call with the team at Promo Republic to learn a bit more about the agency solution, to ask some questions, or more importantly, to get an additional discount on the pricing too, you can do that, and that will only be for people on this webinar. So I'll share that option with you afterwards. But what I want to do first is just jump in and show you a couple of things that you can do with the agency solution. So I'm going to get the screen sharing active in a second, and just show you a couple of the kind of ins and outs of what we can do specifically with the agency solution. So just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay. Great. Okay, so I should be sharing a screen. Now let me know once you can see the screen. It should be like a dashboard, like a social media management dashboard. Some of you will be familiar with this if you're currently a Promo Republic customer, for example. Yep. Okay, great. And I'm going to switch between 2 different ones. So this pink orange one here too. We'll start with the pink one. So one of the things with the Promo Republic agency specific solution, and this is why I have this pink one open, is that it's fully able to be white labeled. That's why you can see this pink banner up here, this love heart logo. So we put this together when we were doing the webinar on Valentine's Day earlier on in the year, just to show you guys that you can white label the agency solution, and thought it might be fun to do that kind of branding. So if you're using Promo Republic and you're using it to manage your social media for your clients, I'll show you how you can collaborate with your clients within the agency solution in a moment. So when they're coming into the solution, it will be fully white labeled with all of your logo, all of your branding, even your URL up here. So this is just a tester one right now, but you'll have everything set up so it looks as though it's your own company's tool, nobody else's. And this can be really, really great for improving the way that your clients think about you, for retaining clients too, if you can offer them some great software and show them that you guys really know what you're doing. So this is the reason I'm showing you this pink dashboard, is because everything is fully able to be white labeled, etc. Now, the collaboration part, we said we were going to talk about how you can communicate with your clients better. And for those of you that said you're managing like client approvals backwards and forwards in email, or you're having to do Zoom calls or anything like that, or maybe you're doing Google Sheets and sending it to them for feedback and for comments, one of the great things about the agency-specific solution in Promo Republic is whenever you schedule a post, you use this as your content calendar and your content planner, and you can schedule posts, but you can also schedule them for approval, to be sent to your client for approval, so they can come in and check them. They can give you the go-ahead, they can add some comments or some ideas. And just to show you quickly what that looks like, this dashboard is completely empty because it's not active, it's just one for demos that I use. But if we wanted to create a post in Promo Republic, we could do that very quickly. So we just create post up here. And if any of you weren't aware, actually, how many of you are using something like Canva or Adobe Spark to create create content for your clients, and then you're maybe downloading them to your computer and sending them to your scheduling tool, whether it's like Buffer, Hootsuite, something like that? How many of you are doing that? Hopefully you'll all be using Promo Republic, but if you're not, this is something that might be interesting for you. Okay, cool. So Antoinette says using Corello and Canva. So one thing you can do within Promo Republic, this is available to everybody, is we actually have our own like content creator. It's very similar to what you'll see in Canva, with over 100,000 different post ideas and templates. Antoinette actually says Premier Public is better, which is great. So you can use all of these different templates. They're all fully editable. You can save in like if you're using the agency solution, you can save in your client's branding, etc., and quickly come in and switch these out, or you can create them from scratch. But let's say we just wanted to use this and we wanted the size to be, I don't know, an Instagram post, right? We can do that, created, we can click use. We can change everything if we really needed to, but the purpose of me showing you this is to show you the client collaboration features. So we have this ready. We would type our message here. I'm just going to call it test. And then you see over on the right-hand side, so we can schedule the post, we can publish it, we can add it to a queue, or in the agency solution, we can do this. We can propose this post for approval. And this is where for each of your clients, you'll have them set up within the approval workflows. So we can propose this for approval and then hit the schedule button. I just have to choose my page, hit the schedule button, choose the date. So let's say tomorrow. We can also repeat the post if we want to, so we can recycle the post in the future. And then once we do that, you'll see that it has been sent for approval to client, and they can see it here now. They'll be sent an alert when they come into Premier Public. This is what the calendar will look like. The post will be here. They can approve, they can edit, make changes, etc. So this is a really great way to quickly collaborate with your clients without having to do lots of backwards and forwards over email, giving them a great experience in the meantime as well. So hopefully you see that. Hopefully that is interesting and like beneficial to you. If you haven't seen Premier Public before, just to give you a sneak glimpse, like this is the post ideas library. It's being added every single month. So we have posts, we have like pre-written posts sometimes too, as well as creative. Lots and lots of different stuff here that you can filter by category, etc. So let's say we wanted to filter by health and beauty, or restaurants if you manage small restaurants, anything like that. There's lots and lots of different options here. So you've seen the approval workflows as part of the agency solution, which I think is really, really powerful. Now I want to show you, this is in the Premier Public account. You also have access to some good reporting and stats within the dashboard itself. So we were talking about the importance of reporting to your clients. I know it can take time to set things up and to make things look nice. With the agency solution of Premier Public, you have all of this built in already. So you can go to the client's social channels. You'll have this overview. So this is for the last 7 days. As you can see, a quick overview. You can see things like numbers, reach, post engagement, etc. Everything will be broken down here into the metrics, whether it's paid, organic, posting habits. You can look at your top posts. You can view all post performance. And all of this is exportable, so you can export all of this to a nice PDF report to share with your clients. So this is something that I think is going to be really beneficial. If you're managing multiple clients and you want to be creating quick reports for them, you can do that very, very easily over here, which is really handy. So that's one thing we can do that I think is going to help you improve your kind of collaboration with those clients. Let me just go back here and show you a couple more things. So also within the agency solution, for some reason it's not showing up in my demo account right now, but we have the monitoring section, which is an additional add-on for the agency kind of version of Premier Public. And this is where you can manage brand reputation for yourself, for your clients, so you can view all comments that are coming in, mentions of the brand, etc., across all different social channels, all in one place. This also integrates with Google My Business too. So you can respond to everything in one place, manage everything in one place, and make sure you're ahead of the curve by responding to everything. So this is something that I also think would be really beneficial for you. And for the time being, I think that's the most of what I want to show you right now, because I don't want this to become like a full level kind of product demo of the agency solution. But you can also have like teammates within the account and set different permissions for different team members. You can also have workspaces set up for different clients. So for example, I don't actually have one set up right now, but we could click here in the top corner and we could see, like, if we were managing multiple clients, each client could have their own workspace. So you could have things set up differently for each client, so there's no crossover. Like here I have Premier Public, here there would be like another client, etc. So lots of really cool things here that you can do that I think are going to save you time, help you collaborate better with your clients, help you kind of grow your agencies faster as well. So that's just a glimpse inside the the agency account. If any of you were interested, if you did have any questions, you wanted to find out a little bit more about the solution, or you just wanted to get that special discount too, you can schedule a call with the team. I'm going to display a call to action button on the screen. If one of you can just let me know that that's appearing. The discount is limited to the first like 4 or 5 people that book onto a call, and you have to show up to the call too. But yeah, this is a really good option for you to ask any questions that you may have, get a deeper insight into the solution, and see how it could help you in your business and what it would look like for you moving forward. So one more thing before we get into the kind of Q&A to wrap up. This is a screenshot of kind of Promo Republic stacking up against other solutions out there specifically for agency owners. And we actually did this calculation and found out that if you manage, let's say, 30 social media accounts, you had a few team members that you wanted access to the tool for, you wanted the approval workflow features, you wanted to monitor mentions and hashtags for your clients, choosing Promo Republic could save anywhere between $600 and $5,400 every single year over the competition. So not only is it a very well positioned and very useful tool that can help you drive results in your business, it's also very, very competitively priced for the kind of feature set and solution set that you get access to. So for example, if you wanted to use Hootsuite just to get approval workflows, you'd be paying a minimum of $600 every single month. I know that because I used to work there within the team. The white label thing, personally, I think is really, really incredible. And you can see there's only a couple other providers who offer that. And the approval workflows are really, really, really important. One other thing that's great if you're managing clients that are like kind of local businesses, the Google My Business integration within the monitoring is not available on many other social tools. I don't actually know of any others that have that integration too. So I think there's lots of positives to choose Promo over some of the other solutions. So I can see Antoinette says she's been having a couple of slight issues with putting a new client Facebook page into a workspace. So Antoinette, I would recommend if you just reach out to like your customer support within the tool itself, they'll be able to get that fixed very, very quickly. Because unfortunately, I can't help with that right now. But yeah, raise it in customer support, and they'll get back to you pretty quickly. So Maria says there's a Google My Business monitor. Yeah, there is. So within the monitoring, if you choose the monitoring add-on, you can, Google My Business has integration there too. So if you're managing local clients, it can be really, really powerful. So in short, like this is how the agency solution works. This is what it's focused on, these 3 core areas within your business to help you grow your agency, and that's focusing on creation, collaboration, and reporting. Seeing the creation angle and the creation aspect from the content creator that I showed you, kind of Canva alternative that can save you a lot of time, the collaboration workflows, and the automated reporting that you can set up too. And to recap on some of the stuff I showed you, this is the graphics editor that we talked about previously, where you can customize all of the templates, create your own posts from scratch. You can even upload your client's assets and branding and use all of the integrated stock photos, fonts, shapes, etc. So everything here that you require will be there. The collaboration platform we covered. And then this is the customer business profiles. I was trying to show you this on the screen, but unfortunately I didn't have it set up in my demo account. And you can just quickly switch between company profiles. So if you're managing multiple accounts, you can see here, there would be a button in the top right-hand corner where you can just switch tabs between the different clients that you are running and you are monitoring. So that is everything for today's session, for today's webinar. So thank you all for kind of coming on board today. I know it's a smaller crowd than usual, so that's why we kind of went through things fairly quickly. I wanted to keep it pretty concise. I'm happy to stop and answer questions that anybody has. And if someone could let me know, I know the button is showing up. Did anyone book a call? Like, can you just let me know if it worked? I just want to make sure it is working because I didn't have time to test it before today's session. And I'm happy to like stop and do any questions. So whether they're agency, like growth related, client collaboration related, if they're Promo Republic related questions, then I'm happy to try and answer them to the best of my ability. But yeah. Okay, so Karen says, did you say there are marketing sales tools for the agency platform? So there's like content that the team works on and puts together to help support you. When it comes down to like sales tools or marketing tools, let me know what it is that you would kind of like to see or mean by that, and I can answer whether we have it or not, or whether it's something the team can look at. Like this whole education piece around these webinars and the online summits that we do, the community that we have, etc. That's the main kind of focus here. And yeah, so the team are building out some additional like collateral around like the white labeling and some other bits and pieces. So I'm not sure exactly what's available right now, but I know that's something that is a focus and is being worked on. I'm pretty sure there's probably some documentation available that they can share with you to help promote. But yeah, that's the kind of honest and quick answer that I have for you, Karen. And great, so I see Leyland says the button works, which is awesome. So the other webinars should be on the Promo Republic YouTube channel. I'm just going to double check as I say that because I haven't checked for a while. But I'm pretty sure every other webinar is uploaded to the Promo Republic YouTube channel. Let me just double check before I confirm that though. Yeah, so all of the other webinars have been uploaded to the Promo Republic YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube, search for Promo Republic. All of my webinars are there, and also all of Ala's webinars. She talks about kind of hands-on stuff for growing your social channels, etc. Not focused specifically on agencies, but you'll be able to see all of the previous webinars there on the YouTube channel. Okay, so Karen's question, what about training for our customers, or are we responsive for our own training and support? So Karen, when you ask around training for your customers, what exactly do you mean by that? Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm following correctly. Okay, so using the interface, logging in, what to click, etc. I don't believe the Promo Republic team provide training on that. I'm sure there's materials available, maybe on the site for that, but you would have to ask and check with them because I'm not entirely sure if I'm honest with you. Like logging in and clicking on stuff should be fairly self-explanatory, but I'm not sure. There probably will be some supplementary resources if you needed them, but I think it should be fairly self-explanatory for how you run through that. But yeah, the team are always there and happy to help. You'll have a customer support person that you can deal with in the live chat within the tool, etc. Yeah, sorry, I don't have like a clear answer for you on that one. I'm just not entirely sure. But I know that if that's something you needed, the team would definitely be happy to try and work on it. Awesome. Okay, Karen. Cool. Does anybody else have any other questions at all? No? Okay. Thanks for that feedback, Veronica. I appreciate that. Cool. Okay, so I think I'll wrap up then if we don't have any other questions. Thank you all for joining. We will have another webinar very soon. I'm sure whether it will be in a couple weeks' time or next week. I will keep you updated because this webinar was supposed to be next week, but we moved it to this week. So I will let you know. Just keep an eye on the Promo Republic website on the agency section, and keep an eye on your emails too. But thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you all again very, very soon.